So if you ladies could introduce yourselves for us.
Mom, you go first.
Gosh. I didn't come here to do this.
Just say your name.
I hope I have, what,
Mom.
what are
Mom,
you?
first just say your name. That's all you have to say.
Well, it's Edith, Edith Grinnell, Grinnell.
Once we get tickled, we start laughing a lot, so we'll try not to do that. But I'm her daughter. I'm Peggy Kokernot Kaplan.
And I'm Diana Kokernot Britton.
And what is your relation to the Women's Conference?
Oh, I forgot. I was waiting for you all.
That's
Well,
okay.
I'll lead in.
Okay, why don't you start?
Our relation was that Peggy had gotten a phone call that they needed some runners to run in this relay because some of the women weren't running in the southern states, and so she was going to fly to run in a relay. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. And it was my big sister, and I was so proud she was going to run, not realizing that eventually the torch would come to Houston, and so I went down to watch her run when I found out she'd be in Houston with the torch, and then our mother.
I slipped away at the lunch hour and ran, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you ran all the way to the entrance of the convention center, and then what?
I can't.
You had to go back to work?
Oh, yeah. I worked for the Institute of International Education, but they were very conservative.
So you had to sort of sneak out because it wasn't your lunch hour, and you had to sneak out and go down there to put on your tennis shoes and go march
Well,
down Allen Park.
In the last mile.
Well, that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mom's good friend, Mary Ann McBrayer, was the organizer of the torch run in the Houston area, and she, I think, had 5 children, and she was going to University of Houston, and she got a call because there was a segment of the torch relay in Alabama where the torch relay had stopped or was going to stop, because Phyllis Schlafly was able to get runners to boycott a 16-mile portion of this run. So they called, Mary Ann was called to go up and run that, but she was busy with all her children and going to school. So because she knew Mom, Mom said, would you like to go fly to Alabama and run the 16-mile leg of this torch run? And we were all marathoners anyway, so 16 miles didn't seem that bad, plus a free trip.
No.
So I flew up to Alabama, and I ran the 16-mile leg of the torch relay there. And then the last mile of the torch relay, I was invited to carry the torch into the convention center along with Sylvia Ortiz and Michelle Searcy, and we carried the torch in, and we gave it to the first ladies. So that was my extent of involvement. But she was also very new to the workforce, having been recently divorced, and it was hard to find work.
Well, I worked for the,
Institute of International
Yes,
Education,
uh-huh.
but you were just coming back into the workforce, and so it was a difficult time. But you did that.
well, I thought it was difficult. It really wasn't.
Well, that's not what you told
But
us.
she wrote a wonderful story for, maybe it was like the 30th anniversary after 1977, and she called it The Last Mile. And it sort of was encapsulated her life as an adult woman and what she went through, and then to see her daughter and this torch, and what that would project for the future, and what was going to be the next mile, what was going to happen next. So
And it's really a good story, and it's called The Last Mile by Edith Babcock Grinnell.
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost forgotten that.
Did you realize the impact that passing this torch would mean in today's society at the time?
I was 25. I was just a marathon runner, and so it wasn't, I don't think it really hit me how important this was until we walked into the convention center and saw thousands of women and the applause and the enthusiasm as we marched down the aisle. So to be very honest, no, I did not realize the importance of it.
And I was only 16, and I, you know, to me it was knowing that our mother's mother was in her 30s when she had the right to vote, and it just sort of was like, it didn't really all come together to me. But then when I saw some of those women that were out there and read their stories and knew who they were, it definitely had an impact on my future life. I didn't realize at the moment what a significant event it was, but it didn't take long to realize. And then, of course, going off to college and being raised by a single mother and seeing what she went through with, you know, credit cards and not having a lot of rights that you thought, or being the one divorced mother in the neighborhood and not being invited to do certain things. There was a stigma.
I was fine.
I know you were fine, but there was a stigma, and and things have changed, and you know, there always needs to be good change, but it was a very significant thing upon reflection.
It was good for me. I had a wonderful life. I don't have any
It's
regrets.
still going. It's
It
still
is.
going. She's
I have a wonderful life.
92 and doing great. Almost 92. No, but I think looking around and seeing Bella Abzug and Betty Friedan and Billie Jean King and
Gloria Steinem and Liz Carpenter and
all these women.
and Betty Ford, and also the other thing was neat when you handed the torch in that picture
To the First Ladies.
of the First Lady, that we're not all of the same party, and it's this is women really coming together, and that was neat, I think.
Well, I just loved it. I loved doing all of those things because I never would have done it without you.
Yeah, she said if she hadn't gotten divorced, she wouldn't have been the independent woman she was. So it was a good thing in the end,
And
right?
I made friends with your father.
Before he passed away, they
Yeah,
became good
and-
friends.
Yeah, but
So-
even though I know this is just this is just about the 1977 when she lived here in the 40s. She had to quit her job when she was 4 months pregnant. When she started showing, they made you quit work.
And I loved my job.
I know. So, but anyway, she's made us strong women, and
No, I didn't. You were strong.
she did.
So what has it been like hearing and seeing those stories from your mom, and then seeing the difference of the political climate today? Do you think it's a significant difference? Do you think we're going backward? Or what are kind of your opinions on that?
Well, it really was the most important thing in my life to work. I had worked before, but not
Yeah.
the kind I
But today,
love.
right now, I think I still feel this shadow. It's sad, like we've taken a lot of steps backwards, and maybe that was always around, but we just wanted to see beyond that. So it's really a scary time. I want to have hope, and I will have hope, but I don't. This will give us more hope. This will give us a good energy. Know all these people are working towards, and us too.
They were asking just about the political climate today, with
Just how things are.
it's a little more difficult now.
Well, I remember voting, and I think most people were voting Republican, and I voted Democrat.
Well, that was way back. Yeah.
No, but even
And now,
even
yeah.
now, she wore her button.
No, but it is a scary time right
It is
now.
very
I think,
scary.
and I think if things had turned out differently a year ago, I think we just felt such enthusiasm, and now it's just like this shadow. And knowing that there is a huge percentage of our population that's just
Well,
But
Thanks.
I went to the Women's March in Houston
Yeah.
after the election.
no in Washington.
I mean, I'm sorry. I went to the Women's March in Washington after the election, and the feeling I came away with from that was this wonderful resurgence of people being willing to get out there and drive change, because I think we did. The feeling I got was that we were just kind of floating along and things would eventually get better. But of course, everything kind of came to a head, and with the 3 states that we didn't have enough votes to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, and so now I'm seeing young women out there, and I wonder if the election had been different. If we would have, and Hillary Clinton had won, I wonder if we would have seen the same drive and energy to bring about change. So it's not that it's a positive by any means that we have Donald Trump there, but I do see this groundswell. It's just, you can just feel it. even with the whole campaign of the Me Too, and you're just seeing it. But it's, I really hope something comes of it.
Well, I think we had an unusual family because we lived overseas in several different countries, Africa and South America.
Right, and we saw a lot of things living in these other countries, poverty and apartheid, and so you do realize what...
You're a better American.
But I think it does give a lot of hope being with younger people, because I have a daughter who's in her 20s, and just seeing how she is in her relationships, and they take things for granted in a way, but they are the power of change. And when they see what world they're walking into, I think they know they want to be more involved. So that may have been a positive of the election. Gets people like that really motivated. That I can't sit back and expect it to get better. I got to do something.
That's the same feeling I had when I was in D.C. And of course, I was stuck. You could not walk. You could not move. I don't know how many of you all were up there, but it was absolutely incredible to be surrounded by them. Oh, and I'll have to show a picture, but my poster was a picture of me on the cover of Time magazine. And close your ears, And it said, it had a picture of me on Time magazine, and then my writing said, "I can't believe I'm still marching for this shit 40 years later."
It was really good.
I shouldn't know you said that.
Go ahead, spank me. Hit
Apologize.
me. I'm sorry.
Don't write that.
This will be the PG version.
I'm ashamed.
No, you're proud of. You love strong women.
Well, not that's cursed.
So how would each of you define feminism?
I can't understand.
How would each of us define feminism? What feminism is?
To be a feminist, what would that be? How would you describe that?
I just never thought about it.
I think. Well, this story. I think I used to think of it as being just a woman's issue, but I think it's an issue that men are feminist. Feminism is it's like an inner core thing. It's what you are, and you can meet someone, and you have a sense if they want. I don't know. It's hard to put it into words.
And I think it also crosses more than just women.
Yeah, definitely.
But it should also include people who are of color, who are black or white, or people who are gay, or people who are transgender. I think we all just get put into this. It's so important.
Well, I think it's. I think women needed to go to work. And I was inspired by my mother, who was a wonderful housewife and mother, but she also was a reporter for a newspaper. I guess it was all social, but anyway.
But I think feminism relates to women, but anybody can be a feminist. And the man, and I think I'm married to a man who it almost was a dirty word, for some people, but I would say he's he would be a feminist because things are just neutral, it doesn't matter, you don't have to put the label, are you a man or a woman? It's just, to me, a feminist is a man, or is a person who thinks of women's issues as everybody's issues, kind of thing.
Is there anything in particular you're looking to get out of the conference these next couple days?
Mom?
Well,
did
you ask me?
Well, all of us. You know what I like is just reconnecting with any women who are wearing this blue ribbon and hearing their stories. I think that's probably what I would like to do, is just be able to reconnect.
I think I can just remember when I had my first job, and my first real job was with the Institute of International Education.
Well, yeah.
And I loved it.
But if you could, while you're at this conference, do you like being here for any particular reason?
Oh, I'd just like to be here. Well, you know, if you've worked and had a career.
You want to be around other people that work and had a career,
But you can
too.
feel this energy of people
Yeah.
here. You see it?
Well, my own mother used to write for the newspaper.
And she graduated from college in 1911.
Yeah.
She was a strong woman, and you were a strong woman.
And she was a good mother. I was
know.
the spoiled baby.
No, you weren't. You were
But-
going to say something, Diana?
I don't know.
Well, what's so good is I can be proud of all my children, and it wasn't my doing. They did it on their own.
But it's neat to see the generations of people here, and we've mostly seen women, but just to see, you know, you're on a college campus and you see women in their 90s and the other ladies we met out there that are in their 70s, and just all the things people.
And also getting to know, because I was so focused just on the torch run and not a participant in the conference, but to actually talk to the women, hear their stories, and how they were involved, and that's really good. And I did want to just mention, if it's all right, one of the things before I walked up the aisle with Sylvia and Michelle and Donna DeVerona and Susie Chaffee and other people to hand the torch, a young woman came up to me right before I walked up, and she introduced herself as Jacqueline Hansen and her friend Leland Reinhardt. And Leland was I think she was either the world or American record holder in the marathon, and they said, "You're a runner, right?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "If you have any opportunity to just mention anything about trying to get the marathon into the Olympics, we would really appreciate it." And so that's what I did mention in the Time Magazine article. And it was because of Jacqueline Hansen and Leah Lamb. They went on, I think, to sue the International Olympic Committee so we could have a marathon in the Olympics in '84. And they worked really hard at that. And at that time, Diana reminded me that we just had an 800 meters because it was just deemed too difficult for the female sex to run further than that. And so now I think we have the 10K, we have the 5K, 10K, we have the marathon. And so I was really glad that I could voice that for them. So.
And we all three ran marathons.
We all three ran marathons. Very strong women, physically and mentally.
Not mentally for me.
Do you have any last comments, things you want to note down on this interview?
I can comment, I've just had a wonderful life. I've had so many opportunities, and it just by chance. I didn't know I was going to be able to have so many good experiences.
And still have more.
And 4 good children. Where are the other 2?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
We're your favorites.
Well, I had one son who suffered.
No, but we really feel like I think a lot of our strength came from watching this woman.
Oh, I did.
You be quiet.
I cried easily.
But you can't cry when you run.
No, she was a very strong, independent mother. She was the mother who went scuba diving and hiked the Grand Canyon and was running marathons when a lot of women weren't doing that. And my friends I thought my mother was great, but they were like, "Wow, your mom's really cool." And it made me happy, and she'd swim with me in the lake and do everything.
And you were the first one to run.
I didn't.
That's all right. And you were the first one to run the marathon, and we followed. And if you hadn't started running,
I was not the first one.
Well, in our family. But humor gets us through a lot, right?
Well,
Mom?
I think I went through a fairly painful divorce, but
It was
we
very
were still
painful.
friends.
She was married to a wonderful man who became an alcoholic, and she had the courage to say, "You know what? I got to get out of this. It's not healthy." And that made my childhood a much healthier childhood than it would have been otherwise.
Well,
And then in the end, we all became friends, and things worked out.
and he was a wonderful man.
And she
he
never
did-
said
he
a
did
bad
quit,
word.
but-
And he stopped drinking.
And he was wonderful.
He was.
So,
and then
She never said one bad word about him, right, Mom?
But I don't think so.
no, you didn't.
But I have a wonderful husband now. I really do.
Yeah. So
Very patient.
But
Wishing I hadn't.
Well, I guess we shouldn't keep telling.
He's wishing I hadn't come here.
we're doing a series.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
You are so welcome.